All right, friends. Zach Evnesh here with my boy, Paul Collodi, New Jersey High School Strength Coach Podcast. Our last podcast was a devotion to Louis Simmons. It was late March. We are close to half a year without podcasting. We've been so busy coaching our faces off. This is episode 21, brought to you by the NHSSCA.US. That's the National High School Strength Coaches Association. Paul and I are, Paul was the state chairman for New Jersey. Now I'm the state chairman, but without Paul, it explodes. It's like, it's like trying to operate NASA. So we talk about all things strength and conditioning. This is going to be a great episode. It's the beginning of the school year. So Paul, let's open it up with a couple of tips. You've been doing it longer than I have in the schools. You got like 2 or 3 good tips for the beginning of the school year, strength and conditioning organization type tips.
Yeah, it is kind of hairy because you got your returners coming back that you have to, you may not have seen all. Our spring athletes, our baseball guys played baseball all summer. I saw them maybe once or twice. So to get them back in it again. And then you got all your new students coming in, freshmen and sophomore, who've maybe never been in before. So organization is building connections back with the student athletes, finding out about how their summer was, how hard they work. I mean, a couple of our baseball players played, I want to say it was 22 games in 19 days. Ooh. It was crazy. Yeah, it was nuts. So, find out how their bodies are feeling, so we can start to develop a program and a system for them right off the bat. And it's pretty simple. We look at their movement in warmups, see how they're adapting to that summer training that they did, that baseball. And then for the new kids coming in, seeing what you got. We'll use our dowels a lot, our bands a lot. We'll do a lot of crawling, see what type of horizontal and vertical core they're working with, and then we go from there. They're still going to squat, hinge, push, and pull. It just depends on where they're going to start.
Yes. So I like what you said about watching them move. And speaking of watching, I always talk about visually assessing athletes just by what their physique looks like. That could give you a pretty good idea of a high school kid, what he or she might be capable of doing. Boys, I could look at a boy's physique, and if I see, a lot of body fat, I know he's not going to be able to do a push-up.
Yeah.
And I'd probably, some coaches might say, you got to do calisthenics before free weights. Well, some of these heavy, overweight kids or girls who traditionally have weak upper bodies, they can't do a regression of a push-up. I personally don't like to use the kneeling push-up. So I'll use a lot of dumbbell benching or push-up isometric holds, but I look at their physique. It gives me a real good idea of what they're capable of. If they walk with feet forward and I watch them squat deep, nice and low, I know they're going to be able to run fast. If their toes are kind of pigeon-toed, naturally out, poor posture, low muscle tone, I know we're going to have to go with something I learned from Buddy Morris 20 years ago. He said, Zach, it's got to be easy to teach. It's got to be quick, meaning he doesn't want me teaching a power clean. It's going to take too long. They're not going to get anything out of it. So make it easy to teach and easy for them to learn. So here are my go-tos for the beginners. Farmer walks, okay? Squats, push-ups. Can't do push-ups. It's a push-up isometric hold. Recline row, band pull-aparts. And this is a tough one if you have it. And the numbers, sleds.
Yep.
Like we have 3 sleds, but my groups have been like 50 kids. So we don't have enough sleds. So what I'm going to need to end up doing is like putting sleds on each end of the turf, and you just go like 40 feet and then you leave it in the middle. Somebody else takes it back and you're either sneaking it in, or I create some sort of a circuit like sleds, push-ups, recline row, or pull-ups. And a lot of kids will not be able to do pull-ups. So my second tip is going to be give them homework with calisthenics. So you're going to wake up, you're going to do 3 push-ups, 10 squats. You're going to do it after school. You're going to do it at night. So we're going to get 9 push-ups a day, 30 squats a day, and it's going to add up. So we're going to build calisthenics into like their culture at home. And
Yeah.
then I have a real simple nutrition guideline that I give them: 3 meals by 3 o'clock. And by meal, I mean, breakfast is going to be preferably not just a bowl of cereal, but like eggs and toast, something like
Mhm.
that, a home packed lunch. And then when you come home, you eat a sandwich, or you eat an early dinner, or you heat up dinner leftovers. That's your third meal. Fourth meal is dinner. Fifth meal, protein shake, another breakfast, another sandwich. Kids could eat differently than adults like you and I,
Oh
who,
yeah.
who can't be eating sandwiches and stuff like that. So easy to teach and easy to learn. Give them homework so they're doing stuff and getting better each time they come back versus only training when they see you. So
Yeah.
that's my first one. Here's our next topic, Paul. We got an email from Nick Rizzatello. I think Nick is a member of the NHSSC. I know he got to Family Day. So
Okay.
not Family Day, he got to our state clinic.
Yep.
So he was saying at his local high school, the kids have been, I actually deleted the email. I was going to pull it up. They were struggling with a lot of cramping. And he
Saw
said
that.
he thinks it's, low sodium, low salt. And I don't remember, did he say they're cramping during football games? Was he specific to a sport or practice?
I can open it up and look, but I definitely hydration and some of the electrolyte imbalance is a big deal. But one thing, and this was some research I read about speed of practice. How are we practicing fast? Are these kids getting that neuromuscular speed onto their muscles during practices? Or because when you see somebody cramp, it's never really during a slow jog, or they're not just running a play. It's when they go to jump to make a maximum effort play. They come down and their calf gives out or their hamstring gives out. So what I say, the first thing I ask is, are they cramping in practice or just games? If they're practicing in games, I'm not sure it's a hydration issue, because they're probably sweating as much in practice as they are in games. So why aren't they cramping in practice?
Yeah.
I think it's the speed of movement. I think it's the exertion that they're putting on. They got to do maximum effort sprints. They got to do jumps. They got to do some things in practice to mimic that Friday night.
I like that. So here's a couple things. I remember it happened to my son once. Actually, wasn't my wife told me they were all out to eat, but he had spent all day at the beach. We live in a beach town. He's surfing, even though he goes with a big jug of water. When you're in the sun and in the water, or in the sun and exerting, you're going to lose. You're going to sweat it all out. So simple things like your breakfast should be a real solid breakfast, and put a little salt on those eggs.
Yep.
Simple like that. Snacks at school. I always say if snacks are provided at school, it should be those like squeezy apple sauces and orange. A close friend of mine, he passed away like a year ago. We called him the guru. And he used to tell our wrestlers, like in between matches at tournaments, to have applesauce with a little bit of whey protein and then mix that up. I think kids should be physically prepared, like what you're saying, but I don't think they drink enough. Every morning is 2 glasses of water. That's how I say you must start your day. And parents have to get involved. I don't think parents are doing enough. I'm going to get you a home cooked meal the night before school. I'm going to pack your lunch. What I tell the football players is, if you're not eating 2 sandwiches during lunch, you're going to have a sandwich, 1 to 2 pieces of fruit, a granola bar, a cup of yogurt. That's your lunch. Then after school, before practice, you scarf down a sandwich, a turkey sandwich, a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And I like to see the kids drinking milk. I think until your mid-20s, you can drink whole milk, and it's pretty good for the body. So I like what you said, though, about training. I mean,
well, the question, the thing he says is, it's during their games. Again, if it's an electrolyte balance with hydration, you would think that on, say, Wednesday for a football player, they'd be getting crazy cramps, because Tuesdays are full pad, hard day. They're probably dehydrated. Are they weighing themselves in and out? Are they checking their urine color? If their urine color is clear, well, it's not a hydration or electrolyte imbalance. I think it's speed of movement. There's some other things, kind of like shin splints. You know what I mean? No, shin splints are all over the map. Everybody's got a thought on cramps, but my thought is, if it's only happening in games and not in practice, is it truly a hydration and electrolyte thing? Because they're sweating the same. It's not like they're not sweating during practice, you know?
Or are you not physically prepared? And by the
Correct.
way, for our friends listening, Paul is the head strength and performance coach at Hunter Central Regional High School, but he's also been an athletic trainer for 20 plus years, right?
Yep.
20, how many?
94, I started.
Yeah, so
A long time.
28 years. So you've heard what people think it could be, but then you see it. And
Mhm.
you're right. I was at a soccer game to watch our girls team play a couple days ago. And right behind us, the football team was practicing. And I don't get to enough football practices, so I can't really compare. But there were two guys holding pads, and there's like a line 8 deep. And it's like one kid runs and hits a few punches, then he's waiting. And I was like, man, that's not hard at all.
Mhm.
But if you're a lineman, every 45 seconds, you're in your stance, you're blasting out, you're wrestling somebody. So I always say linemen, I mean, football players should wrestle. Wrestlers should play football to get meaner, tougher. But you're right. You got to train. You got to prepare for it. So our advice is nutrition and also
Yep.
training has
Both.
to be in line. It's that saying like you got to train the way you want to compete.
Yeah.
Very good. So check out this next question. I thought it was really cool. I posted on Twitter and Instagram like movements and activities and exercises that middle school coaches, I didn't say strength coaches or sport coach. I think I may have said sport coaches
Mhm.
should do. I'm going to pull that up, and I had a interesting comment on it. So give me a second here. So um, I said by middle school, sport coaches should be teaching and implementing calisthenics of all types: squats, lunges, push-ups, crawling, hand walking, sprinting, and sprint starts from imperfect positions. So laying on your belly, laying on your back, kneeling on both knees or in a half lunge position, medicine ball throwing, jumping rope, which to me almost falls into the calisthenics slash jumping category, band
I'm gonna
exercise.
put skipping. I'll put
Yeah.
skipping in there too.
Skipping
Kids can't
crushes
skip.
kids. Yeah, how crazy is
Yeah.
that? Skip backwards or skip
Yep.
forwards. They struggle
Yep.
on that. So one of the coaches said, "What specifically are the benefits from starting sprints from different positions?" He goes, "Genuine curiosity. I was thinking of implementing these for college wrestlers when we do weekly hill sprints." So I responded to him and I said, first of all, it develops power from these imperfect positions that happen in sport. We call this game speed.
Mhm.
And little plug, Paul, myself, and Tony Villani on October 15th, we are doing a seminar called Game Speed Performance Seminar. It'll be at Paul's high school. And I've been tweeting about it. It's in my Instagram bio. But game speed is when the speed training or the training methods that you're utilizing, they actually have a transfer to sport. So you watch a soccer game, somebody falls, you must be able to blast out of a push-up and sprint again. Or if you go, I always tell the girls, you go like you're sliding or you slide tackle, you have to be able to get up. And so it requires upper body strength and it requires being able to sprint out of a crappy position. Today, or all weekend, I watched my son's baseball team. And what was interesting is every kid, after he made a diving play, they didn't get up. They were like frozen. And I'm thinking to myself, it's because they never do sprinting and they never sprint from belly, back, landing on your side. And it's like what you said about the hydration and cramping. If you don't train for it, your body is lost. It's
Mhm.
like taking me to France, and in the area of France where they don't speak English, they're speaking French to me. If I never spoke French, I'm not going to suddenly speak French.
Mhm.
I need to be trained in French.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on like game speed and sprinting from different imperfect positions?
I'm gonna give you a couple of things. Go back to when you were wrestling in high school. The best wrestlers had something called mat sense. You remember that?
Mhm.
Where no matter where they were or what position they were in, they knew what to do. That mat sense made those wrestlers never be in a bad position. I think of that, what you're talking about with different positions, they have to find the right angle and edge to get out of whatever position they're in so they can get back in the play, so they can accelerate or separate or close or do whatever they have to do in that situation. And setting up in those positions, I think, is the number one way to teach them angles and edges so that they can push their body in the direction they need to push it in. So like you said, we do hot and cold. We do a hot mic guy too. So we'll have two people down on their bellies.
Yes.
One's hot, one's defense. And the hot guy has to wait for the other guy to say ready, and they get up. So now we add reaction into it as well.
Race or tag the guy.
That's
yes.
it.
Yes. This
And
is, to me,
all
is
different
athleticism.
positions.
It's
And competition. Yeah.
Competition is what drives speed.
Mhm.
You know, if you're racing against people or trying to tag somebody or trying to escape the tagger, this is crucial. And for wrestling, you know, what I say is, okay, you're not a field athlete. Why do we sprint? Sprinting is the ultimate way to develop leg power.
Yeah.
And do we need leg power in wrestling? Yes. So that's why training, you know, I posted that video of Louis Simmons a week or two ago. He said, you know, the strength coach's job is to get the athlete stronger, faster, more explosive. You know, my buddy Brian Bott said, we are delivering the sport coach a better product. Now it's up to the sport coach to create the sport skill, or it's up to the kid and his or her parents to get them to pick up on those sports skills. Now check out this comment to a similar post I made, where I made the post that I sent you and Tony Villani about, hey, you see kids trying to do like a 1 rep max test on the bench, but they can't do a push-up. You know, Matt Wenning said when he went to the YMCA, the big guys who were benching 400 plus pounds, they wouldn't let him bench, I think, until he could do 10 pull-ups. And Matt has benched 500 and 600 pounds, I think, raw. So I thought what was interesting was I made this post about build the kids up through dumbbell training and calisthenics and sleds. So maybe I'm understanding his context because it's Instagram. But the guy says, his name's Ivy Cairo Rehab. He said, there are none of these barriers before throwing, running, or anything else. There need not be any for lifting. So my response was, that's interesting. I wonder why there are so many people who get injured throwing and running, and it's because they are too weak for that activity. And I know 2 kids that I'm not sure if they had a CT scan, I'm pretty sure they did, who have some sort of fracture in their back from playing baseball.
Yeah.
And, you know, watch any baseball game or hang around a baseball team for 6 to 8 weeks or maybe 4 weeks. Let me know how many kids have injured shoulders, elbows, biceps, back. The reason being is, go back to what you said about we talk hydration, but it's really, you're not physically prepared for it. So why are kids getting hurt lifting? They're not physically prepared. So he's saying there should be no barrier. The truth is, if I've watched it a million times, kids who don't know how to back squat, it's a skill. Kids who are too weak to back squat, you could coach them all you want. They won't be able to do it because their muscles cannot hold them in place.
Yeah.
So
what I tell you, I mean, when you fail at a back squat, what fails? Is it your legs or your core? It's definitely your core. You know what I mean? Yeah, you're falling over, you're falling backwards, you're shifting one way or the other. You can't support that weight. So here's a 13-year-old immature spine kid trying to back squat with no core stability, and chances are poor hip mobility because they're sitting in class all day in a poor posture. We don't do anything to reset their backside and get activation and stiffness and everything. Do they know how to brace? All of those, there's a big learning curve when it comes to that. Hey, you know what I would say to that guy is, we still have to squat, hinge, push, pull, but think of what exercises we're going to do, what hierarchy of exercises we're going to do in those movements. There's no doubt we're going to do all of those things, but hey, listen, our freshmen coming in this week may be doing a heels elevated goblet squat with no shoes on because they can't keep their heels down and learn how to sit back.
They lack they lack ankle mobility.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think we spoke about this in a past episode, but Jim Wendler, before before I got into the high school, I was 3 years ago. I called you and Jim and
Mhm.
Rob Orrock, who was our state coach of the year. But Jim was telling me that before he let the kids touch a barbell, they had to squat. Man, it was like 100-pound goblet squat for 50 consecutive reps. He's like, kids would put it on their back. He's like, they were bleeding for it. So I was like, 50 reps, like you got to be a savage. And so I came up with this. If you want to squat or trap bar deadlift, you have to do 75-pound goblet squat for 10 if you weigh under 175. If you're over 175, you got to squat the 100 for 10. If you want to bench with the bar, I said you got to do 50-pound dumbbells for 10. That one destroyed people because I'd see kids on the bench press, you know, skinny as a rail. And I'd say, can you bench the 50s for 10? It was like, yes. I'm like, you sure? I think so. Show me. I don't know if I can. The girls, I tell the girls you have to bench 30-pound dumbbells for 10 or 25s for 10. The barbell is 45. So I say, you got to do it. But even girls want to go to the barbell. It's more exciting.
Yeah.
But what I learned last week with our first week in school is I like to give options, but I learned that last week I gave too many options. Like I said, hey, here you could trap bar deadlift or you could squat with a dumbbell. And then I said, but if I've taught you how to front squat and back squat, you could do that. And then I realized girls who never squatted were starting to try to back squat.
Mhm.
And I had to bring the girls back in. And I said, ladies, if I never taught you how to back squat, now your friend is trying to teach you how to back squat. Now we're in season. We're spending excess time trying to learn a squat when you could have squatted with a dumbbell and then did your chest supported row and then
Yeah.
did your med ball throw. And I said, now we're losing time. So here's what you got. You're either on a trap bar deadlift for 4 or you're on a dumbbell squat for 8. Period. End of story. If you've never deadlifted before, you're not deadlifting.
Mhm.
And I saw a couple girls lunging with a 45 or a 50. I said, we need more girls lunging with that weight. Some of you are squatting 20-pound dumbbells. That's not going to get us better. And I had to tell them, I went and watched you girls play soccer. You're running full speed ahead at the opponent. You must be running 13, 14, 15 miles an hour. Jumping in the air. I go, you got to get strong. Stop doing baby weights. Sometimes
Yeah.
you got to tell them this is the standard.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And, you know, we get that too with everybody being under the bar because that's what they're doing at the local box gym or something else. And then they're coming into your place and elbows are flaring and they got their fingers open on the bars. They're not
Yes.
engaging it, you know, so we just have to make sure, hey, listen, we'll get there, you know, and I've become a little bit of a softie with that where I'll put the straps out and I'll have them hold the bar front squat with the straps just to see how hard that is with just the bar.
Yeah.
And getting down below parallel. So I'll give them that option. And if they can't do that, I'm going to say, this is where you are now. And that's not even close. Let's get on this dumbbell.
Yeah.
Let's make sure that we can get to this position and come out of it. And like you said, I have made some exceptions, but 9 times out of 10, they'll still end up back on the goblet squat.
I think sometimes we have too many kids in the weight room.
Mhm.
And it's just one coach. And the reality is you're going to miss some stuff as a
Yep.
coach. There's just too many kids. This is why you need to leverage kind of technology and get them to be strong training outside from us. All right, we're going to move on to the next topic. We did game speed. Oh, I kind of alluded to it. You should watch sports. You should watch some of the teams compete to give you an idea of how your kids perform. It's an assessment, and it'll kind of help you adjust your programming. You know, I'll watch girls soccer, and then I'll drive home, and I'll be like, we got to get stronger.
Mhm.
We need to get stronger. We're not trying to go heavier on the trap bar deadlift or the squat. We have to get stronger. Or I'll watch a football game and I'll be like, man, your arms aren't busting through the sleeves. And we might say, well, arms are not a performance muscle, but you want to know what? It can intimidate the other team,
Mhm.
especially in wrestling. When you weigh in and you're boxers, the guy sees you, your physique. That's like the beginning of the match.
Yeah.
And John Welborn, my buddy, played in the NFL for 10 years. He goes, it looks like the people in the NFL today forgot how to curl, or they never curl. He's like, their arms aren't big. He's like, your arms. He's like, you want your arms to be big.
You got to win the getting off the bus game. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? When you
Jim
step off
Wendler
the
said
bus.
that.
Yeah.
He said, we want, he goes, athlete the lower, body build the upper.
Mhm.
So they do a lot of jumps, back squat, trap bar, deadlift, push-ups, pull-ups. And he said all his accessory work is 10 reps. He's like, that
Yeah.
way they never ask me how many. 10 chest support row, 10 dumbbell bench, 10 military press. Don't ask me how many reps. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, we try to get so fancy with it.
I learned that from Kevin Vanderbush out in Indiana. He's one of our founding members, and
Yep.
same thing. He said, you know, he'll have at Ben Davis High School, they have multiple D1 players every year, and you know, he'll have Nick Saban say walk into his weight room, and I'll have two kids of the same ability, but one kid's much bigger than the other, and he'll go to that kid first. You know what I mean? And it's not Nick Saban. I'm not saying Nick Saban, but you know, any coach that walks in.
It's
And
the eye, you know, look,
yeah,
it's
eye
like we
test.
said, I'm visually assessing you.
Yeah.
And what if the kid's carrying a lot of body fat? The coach might say, listen, you know, you really, you lack a little knowledge in nutrition, but you're
Mhm.
also lacking discipline. And that's really where we need parents to help the kids, because the kid is not out grocery shopping. The kids eat what mom and dad bring home. You and I are both parents. So it depends what we bring home. My kids are going to eat what we have cooked or brought
Yeah.
home. All right, last topic.
Mhm.
You ready for this one, Paul?
Let's go.
What has been a great movie or TV show you've watched recently? And the reason why I want to touch upon this is I think as coaches, you're exhausted, you get run down. Sometimes it's okay to veg out and get a little TV going on. It doesn't always have to be sports. So I know I have two recommendations. I'd love to hear your movie recommendations.
Oh, it's not a movie. Cobra Kai season 5 is back up, man. Cobra Kai. I don't know. I'm hooked on it. I love Johnny. He's comedy. It has a little bit of the hardcore, strike first, mentality.
Yeah.
But I thought it's been pretty awesome. And listen, since we started this about 3 years ago or 2 years ago,
Yeah.
whenever the Equalizer's on, Zach, I watch that.
I
My
know.
wife is tired of it, but I can't get Denzel
Mine
Washington
too.
enough.
I know. I'm telling you, Denzel's going to call. He's going to get on the podcast.
Oh man, I'd go crazy.
Dude.
But Cobra Kai, my kids turned me on to Netflix. There's a few things that I've watched on there. I watched the Manti Te'o story, which was you have to watch it. It's about Manti Te'o, who played for Notre Dame, and
Okay.
a scandal happened with him. I'm not going to give you any. I'm not going to
It's on
spoil it.
Netflix.
It is. It's
I
only
don't know
two.
if I have Netflix anymore. I think my wife deactivated it. She went berserk on all that stuff. She's like, that's it.
Saving money.
Well, we have Amazon Prime, which
Mhm.
I didn't know you have Prime Video. So what's the name of that?
It's called The Girlfriend That Never Existed, the Manti Te'o story.
Okay.
And listen,
Okay.
I want to put this out to all the coaches out there.
Yes.
Ted Lasso. It's on Apple TV.
Okay.
It's about a football coach from the Midwest who gets chosen to go to England and run a soccer team. Knows nothing about soccer. But when I say it's about coaching, and it's funny and it's got its moments, but it's all about how to be a good person, how to connect with your players. He's never coached a soccer game in his life, not even Pee-wee, but he goes over there and he turns these guys to make them understand what it means to be a team. And it's funny, but it makes you sit back and think about coaching a little bit. And it's fantastic.
Nice. You'll have to text me them later.
Okay.
So I think we do have Netflix, but I was very excited. I can't remember when it aired, but it was called The Terminal List. Jack Carr has a couple of books called The Terminal List.
Mhm.
I read one and then I listened on audio. So when it came out, it's like a vigilante movie. You know, he's got a list of people he has to remove from
Yeah.
planet Earth because of what they did to his family and his teammates. He was a Navy SEAL. And so Terminal List, highly recommended.
Mhm.
And then the other one, I just came across it by accident. It's on Amazon. It's called Reacher. And that's a very good one. It is like The Equalizer.
Okay.
It's a good one. So that's a series. So, you can watch a little bit. I don't watch football. I don't really sit down to watch sports. You mentioned Notre Dame. I believe Notre Dame is 0-2.
Yeah.
0-2. Very
And
competitive out there.
Nebraska too, and they just fired their coach after his only the second loss. They lost
Holy
to
crap.
Georgia Southern or Georgia State yesterday.
Think about
So
this. I want to close out with this, Paul. I know I say I want to close out with this, then we keep going.
yeah,
In college, if you're a college strength coach, look, I want to build hammers. I want to build champions. But I love at this level that I could take a vacation. Like early November, we have a week off.
mhm,
I can go away with my family and the world is not going to end.
yeah,
Somebody will run the weight room once or twice for their team. I'll come back, the weight room will be a little bit messy. But if I did that in college, they'd be like, no, you're here.
mhm,
We don't miss, we're not missing lifts. They make it like the world is ending. And so I think it's good for your family. Like I have a vacation with the family early November. We do the vacation during the winter holiday. And then in the summertime, I could take a week. I might even, in the summertime, I took more than a week. We
mhm.
did a family vacation. I had to travel for tennis, baseball, and it allows you to do that.
Yeah,
It does. Am I love that I leave the kids? No, I'm always thinking about it. But you know what? I at least will, my kids, your kids are in college. Your son's a senior, right?
mhm,
My daughter's a sophomore and my son's eighth grade. Before I know it, they'll be in college and I'll be able to look back and say, man, I got to all those baseball games. I didn't miss baseball. I didn't miss her tennis matches. You get to all that stuff. So little food for thought for that. So guys, two things we're going to close out with here. NHSSCA.us. No matter what state you live in, get involved with the National High School Strength Coaches Association. They have a new website. So if you
mhm.
are a member, sign in, check out the professional development. That's the back end stuff that you get, the seminars and conferences that were recorded. And then October 15th, Paul, myself, and Tony Villani from XPE Sports and our event is sponsored by Intech. Check them out. Our event is going to cover game speed and strength training that is specific for sports performance, meaning I talk about being strong and useless. What if you could bench 405 and trap bar deadlift 495? But what if you can't run, jump, sprint? What if you can't hold people up? So my segment will be strength training that has transfer for sport. Tony is going to be really delving into game speed. His gym, XPE, they dominate the NFL combine the past few years with having the fastest athletes. So super excited to learn from him. And Paul, what are you going to cover at our Game Speed seminar on October 15th?
I'm going to I'm going to talk about how we use mobility to get us into position so we can push in the direction we need to push, so we can direct the power that we're putting into the ground where we need to go, and then the reactive side of it as well. So our feet on and off the ground is a faster athlete. So if we're slow on the ground, we're in quicksand, we're not going to be able to move athletically on the field. So I'm going to show kind of like what we did at your place that one day, how we use low boxes, plates, my hoops,
Minimal equipment.
yeah, minimal equipment, and in small spaces too.
Yes.
To make sure these guys react well and get their feet on and off the ground in a hurry.
I loved what you were doing. I was like, damn, this warm-up stuff and this small space stuff is amazing. And building agile, mobile, and hostile athletes, that's
Mhm.
what Paul does. His school is a dominant force in sports. They really are. So that game speed link is in my Instagram bio. And I think I've been posting it quite a lot on Twitter
Yep.
and whatnot. So Pretty easy to find. You could also message me on Instagram, message Paul. We'll get you that link. And if you have a team, if you're an athletic director and you want to send a staff, let us know. We'll get you a discount code if there's 3 or more people
Mhm.
coming. And that's it, guys. NHSSCA.us. Follow Paul. On Instagram is Red Devil Strength, but on
Yep.
Twitter is HC Sports Perform or
Yeah. Sports
yeah.
performance. Yeah.
Sports Performance. And I'm Z Evanesh everywhere. I've been really working on the YouTube and everything else. But that's it, guys. We'll see you soon and we'll talk to you later. Please share this with other coaches and administrators and anybody running the weight room. All right, guys, we're out of here. Boom.